Chapter 41. Mathematical Modeling Contest, Pretend to be Invisible. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Lin Fan staggered Hu Tian's body position, followed closely behind, and could see Hu Tian's figure like a palace vase. Exclaimed in his heart. No wonder everyone likes her so much, just a back view kills a large group of women in seconds. At this time, Hu Tian slowly turned around and asked. I heard that you signed up for the National Mathematical Modeling Contest. Lin Fan couldn't help but recalled the figure of Sun Yaodong trotting all the way after he agreed to sign up. Sighed. Sun Jiaobao's actions are really fast. Lin Fan nodded, and said helplessly. Yes. Hu Tianyen heard that, with a shallow smile on his face, he said. Originally, I was a little worried about the results of our school's mathematical modeling this year. From now on, I don't need to worry at all. Paused, and then said. However, I really didn't expect you to participate in a mathematical modeling contest when that time, will you feel like bullying a child? Hu Tian is very aware of how far Lin Fan has studied mathematics. Even, it has surpassed most mathematics professors. This is also the reason why Hu Tian often goes to Lin Fan to discuss problems. In Hu Tian's opinion, Lin Fan's participation in a mathematical modeling contest is like asking high school students to take an elementary school math test. This is not bullying a child, so what is it? Lin Fan shook his head and said, Tian, you really look up to me. I still don't know what the mathematical modeling contest is. Although, Lin Fan has academician-level mathematics experience. However, it is only in terms of problem-solving thinking, formula application, calculation, etc., which have far beyond ordinary abilities. Regarding these events, he really didn't know much about it, and he didn't know about it specifically. Hu Tian glanced at Lin Fan weirdly, did not know what event it was, so he signed up for it. However, she did not delve into it, explaining. The mathematical modeling contest is a national team competition composed of 2 students from the School of Computer Science and 1 from the School of Mathematics. The specific division of labor is Mathematics and Computer Design. 2 students from the School of Computer Science. Lin Fan frowned slightly. He just entered Jiangbei University, and he didn't know any computer school students at all. What should I do? Hu Tian seems to understand Lin Fan's concerns, and smiled. Don't worry, we have helped you find 2 very cute computer geniuses, and we are guaranteed to satisfy you. After a pause, he said. By the way, you have to go to room 305, Training Building 1, to get acquainted with the 2 students from the School of Computing. By the way, you can listen to the instructor and explain the specifics of the mathematical modeling contest. Rule. Lin Fan said. I thought you were our advisor. Hu Tian paused slightly and explained. Professor Zhang from our School of Mathematics will guide you. He has high attainments in mathematical modeling and is more suitable to guide you. Lin Fan nodded. Then, Hu Tian seemed to have something, and said a few words casually, stepped out of his white long legs, and strode towards the office. Number 1 Training Building, Room 305. There are about 20 tables in the spacious room, and each table has a computer. At this time, the twin beauties, Xia Bing and Xia Shui, are sitting quietly in 2 of them. They took out their phones, opened Lin Fan's name very skillfully, and continued to write in the dialog box that had already written hundreds of words. While the twin beauties were writing seriously, Lin Fan finally came to room 305. Lin Fan was taken aback when he saw the twin beauties in red and blue dresses at a glance. Why are they here? Could it be that they are very cute computer geniuses in Teacher Tiantian's mouth? Is very cute, yes. But, are they computer geniuses? Can't see it at all. Lin Fan slowly walked towards the twin beauties with the doubts in his heart. When he came to the twin beauties, Lin Fan was stunned again. Because he found that the twin beauties were in his dialogue box, filled with almost exactly the same content. Hello, are you asleep? Thank you for stopping the basketball and saving me. The moon is so round, did you see it? You don't seem to play basketball today, will you go tomorrow? There are so many stars in the sky today, and tomorrow should be good weather again, will you play basketball? I finally saw you playing basketball today, it's really great. Tomorrow, will you send us a message? Teacher helped us sign up for the mathematical modeling contest. I don't know who we will team up with. I am a little nervous. By the way, I always forgot to ask, which college are you from? When Lin Fan saw this, his whole body seemed to have been casted with a hold technique. He finally understood why the twin beauties didn't send a message to himself. Because they dare not. Even though the dialogue box was filled with words, I didn't dare to click send at all. Lin Fan also knows that the twin beauties like them, and even have 99 points of affection. However, Lin Fan felt that as long as he didn't talk to them, he wouldn't meet them again. Then, the favorability of twin beauties towards them should gradually decrease. They should gradually forget themselves. Because time can dilute everything. At this time, Lin Fan realized that he was wrong. Besides, it's still wrong. The feelings of the twin beauties for themselves have long been deeply rooted. This is like a bottle of wine. www.inread.com. The longer the time, the more full-bodied. At this time, the twin beauties seemed to notice someone next to them and turned their sides. The next moment, 6 eyes meet each other. The twin beauties were all stunned. It's him. He actually appeared in front of him. There was an unconcealable joy on the faces of the twin beauties. Then, they seemed to have thought of something, and hurriedly took out a bottle of pulse from the big backpack behind them, and handed it to Lin Fan. At this time, a Professor Zhang with a slightly raised hairline came in. He smiled and said, "Hey, are you all here?" The twin beauties didn't seem to hear her, she always looked at Lin Fan with extremely expectant eyes. People's hearts all grow in flesh. The twin beauties are so infatuated with them, how can Lin Fan remain indifferent? Finally, Lin Fan slowly opened his arms and took the twin beauties into his arms. The twin beauties held their pulses, feeling Lin Fan's body temperature, and sniffing the unique smell on his body. The whole pretty face was pink. He hugs himself. Professor Zhang, who was standing in the distance, saw this, opened his mouth and his face was dull. That's right. University does not oppose student love, even some students get married and have children directly in the university. But that is also based on the establishment of a boy and a girl. And what is the situation now? A boy hugged 2 students in front of him. What should I do? Fake. Pretend not to see. P.S. Please 5-star praise, welcome to read my book, Super Red Envelope Fairy Group. Chapter 42. Good news, selling people in a blink of an eye. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If Professor Zhang came here silently before, and now he quit silently, then it would be fine. But, the point is that he just said hello. After hesitating for a long time, Professor Zhang finally coughed slightly and said, "You are Lin Fan from the School of Mathematics, and Xia Bing and Xia Shui from the Computer School, right?" Lin Fan seemed to have only noticed Professor Zhang, and slowly let go of Xia Bing and Xia Shui, and said, "Yes. Professor Zhang is worthy of being Professor Jia. He has seen countless storms a long time ago, and soon forsook the scene just now. Let me introduce myself first, my name is Zhang Yong, and I am a professor at the School of Mathematics. Mathematical modeling is an important means of using mathematical tools to build models with computers to solve practical problems." Zhang Yong said with a smile. "Of course, you are all outstanding in every college. I won't be too long on these simple conceptual questions." After a pause, Zhang Yong said again. "Lin Fan, you should also know the situation of Xia Bing and Xia Shui. Therefore, you are not only responsible for mathematical calculations and thesis, but also for defense. Are there any questions? However, Zhang Yong didn't wait for him to answer at all, and continued. It's fine if there is no problem. Lin Fan. Did you say something? Professor Zhang, you make the decision directly for yourself, is it really good? In Zhang Yong's eyes, Lin Fan had already carried Xia Bing and Xia Shui into his arms, and teamed up with them to participate in the mathematical modeling contest. They must have made these preparations long ago. Zhang Yong said. Let's start some simple training now. Zhang Yong glanced randomly in the classroom, and said, you now use mathematical knowledge to design a comfortable chair. If another person suddenly hears this kind of problem, they will definitely be at a loss. Isn't the chair like that? Still need to use mathematical knowledge to design. But Lin Fan is different, he has a lot of data immediately in his mind. Then, he turned sideways to the twin beauties and said, for me, how about you design? At this time, the entire faces of the twin beauties are still flushing. When they heard Lin Fan's words, they nodded excitedly. Soon, there was a crackling sound in the 305 training room, and the keyboard was full of rhythm. In just a few hours, a chair with a modern shape and perfect data appeared on the computer desktop. See here. Zhang Yong opened his mouth, completely stunned. Praised sincerely. Okay, very good. Your mathematical modeling ability is better than I thought. If you can perform normally in the mathematical modeling contest, it shouldn't be a big problem to win a national award. At this point, Zhang Yong's face was full of smiles. Jiangbei University is one of the top 10 key universities in the country. However, the honors in the field of mathematics in recent years have been poor. This can't help but make them all mathematics professors dull. And if you can get a national award, it is obviously a good thing. Zhang Yong said again. No, I have to ask Professor Tian Hu to help train you too. She is an expert in mathematical modeling. If you have her help, you might have a chance to hit the higher education cup. As soon as he said this, Zhang Yong's face showed a touch of excitement that could not be concealed. It looked like Lin Fan and the three had already won the higher education cup. Higher education cup, which is the first place in the mathematical modeling contest. You know, Jiangbei University has never won the higher education cup since its establishment. If this year can be achieved, it will be an honor for Jiangbei University, especially the School of Logarithmics, a great honor. Then, Zhang Yong gave a few more casual explanations, and hurriedly walked out of room 305. Obviously, he was going to talk to Hu Tian and the leaders of the hospital to discuss this matter. After listening to Zhang Yong's words, Lin Fan showed a strange look on his face. Zhang Yong said Hu Tian is an expert in mathematical modeling. With her help, I have a chance to hit the higher education cup. But, didn't Hu Tian say that Zhang Yong has high attainments in mathematical modeling? Do you also say that Zhang Yong is more suitable for guiding yourself? Lin Fan looked at Zhang Yong's leaving back, shook his head, and temporarily left the matter behind. Then, Lin Fan glanced at the empty training room and the nearly perfect chairs in the computer screens on both sides. In his mind he couldn't help but remember the extremely skilled movements and superb skills when Xia Bing and Xia Shui were operating the computer, and couldn't help but say, can you help me find something online? Xia Bing and Xia Shui's two small heads, like a chicken pecking at rice, couldn't help nodding. In their opinion, it is definitely a very happy thing to be able to help Lin Fan. Lin Fan said. I want to find a century-old ginseng, you can see where it can be sold. During this period of time, he often searched the internet for information about the century-old ginseng. However, apart from searching a large number of GenAI hospital, nothing was found. Lin Fan often thinks that maybe it is the reason why his computer technology is so poor. Now, he sees Xia Bing and Xia Shui who have far surpassing computer technology, so he couldn't help but ask. Cracking. There was a rhythmic sound again in room 305 of the training building, which was quiet for a moment. At the same time, densely packed characters appeared on the screens of the two computers. Soon, a message was locked from the two computer screens. On September 7th, the Beijing Xinyue Hotel held an auction. The auction items. Wang Duo of the Ming Dynasty, Xianshan Original Post, Ming Dynasty Official Kiln Qingju Bowl, Centennial Ginseng. Lin Fan saw this, his eyes lit up slightly. September 7th, isn't that tomorrow? Perhaps, I can get 100-year-old ginseng tomorrow, so I can get the permission to buy medical potions. Xia Bing, Xia Shui, you really helped me a lot. Lin Fan said happily. Hearing Lin Fan's praise, Xia Bing and Xia Shui's pretty faces immediately became like a blooming flower. www.inread.com. It was brilliant. Since the auction will be held tomorrow, Lin Fan did not stay in room 305 for too long. He must hurry to the capital. At this time, Zhang Yong walked into the office quickly. Good news, good news. Zhang Yong said excitedly. What good news? The teacher asked. Zhang Yong said. This year's mathematical modeling contest, our school will have at least one national award. Do you think it is good news? Really? There are still fakes. Even if Professor Hu Tian also helps training, I think it is impossible to hit the higher education cup. Zhang Yong said excitedly. As soon as this statement came out, all the teachers in the office uttered incomparably surprised voices. Hu Tian asked. You should be talking about Lin Fan's group, right? It seems that you also know them. Professor Hu Tian, start training with me tomorrow. Zhang Yong said. However, Hu Tian shook his head and said. I will not train them. Why is this? Professor Tian Hu, I can guarantee that they are definitely the most talented group of members I have ever seen. Zhang Yong said. Hu Tian said. I have already told the dean about this matter, so you don't have to persuade me. Zhang Yong looked at her firm expression, sighed, and said, this. Okay. Hey, I just told Lin Fan and the others that if you ask you to help with training, maybe they can get the Gaojiao Cup. Disappointed. Hu Tianyan heard that, he couldn't help rubbing his forehead, and said in his heart. Why is Zhang Yong's mouth so fast? I just told Lin Fan that Zhang Yong was suitable for training him, and was sold in a blink of an eye. P.S. Welcome to finish my book, Super Red Envelope Fairy Group. Chapter 43. Go to the capital, listen to the Wind Garden. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jiangbei University, 104 dormitories. Just as Lin Fan walked in, Song Yi, Ma Zhong and Jing Jinbao all cast their eyes over. Brother Fan, Teacher Tian asked you to go to the office to discuss math problems again. Song Yi asked. At this point, the eyes of the three of them are a little red. Jealous. Several hours in a row with Mr. Tian alone. What a happy thing is this. Lin Fan replied. That's not true. Teacher Tian asked me to go to the training building to participate in the training of the mathematical modeling contest. There is still training for the mathematical modeling contest. Song Yi, Ma Zhong and Jing Jinbao all showed a hint of doubt. Obviously, none of them received such a notice. Jing Jinbao asked. Could it be the teacher Tian who gave you the training? As soon as these words came out, the eyes of the three of them turned red again. Lin Fan said. It's a professor named Zhang Yong. Song Yi, Ma Zhong and Jing Jinbao nodded suddenly, their expressions gradually returning to normal. Training is not important, the important thing is Tian teacher. Song Yi saw that Lin Fan seemed to be packing his luggage, and asked, Lin Fan, are you going here? Yes, I'm a little urgent, and need to go to the capital. Lin Fan said. Song Yi said. Then be careful on the way. Lin Fan nodded, and strode outside. Before he walked far, the cell phone in his pocket rang a brisk ring. It turned out to be a call from Lu Yuhang. Brother Lin, I have good news. I have found the whereabouts of the century-old ginseng. As soon as I connected the phone, Lu Yuhang's excited voice rang. Lin Fan's expression moved slightly and said, Is it the auction of Beijing Xinyue Hotel? Ha! Brother Lin already knows. Lu Yuhang asked in surprise. After Lin Fan listened to Lu Yuhang's words, a touch of joy appeared on his face. In fact, when Xia Bing and Xia Shui searched for the auction news on the internet, Lin Fan couldn't be sure whether there was a century-old ginseng at all. But, as long as there is a glimmer of hope, he will visit the capital. Now, after receiving this news from Lu Yuhang's mouth, Lin Fan immediately understood that there is indeed a century-old ginseng in the capital. Lin Fan said. Yes, I just learned the news, now I am going to the capital. Oh. I haven't been to the capital for a while, how about going with me? Lu Yuhang said. That couldn't be better. Lin Fan said. Lin Fan didn't know whether the auction of Xinyue Hotel needed invitations or other things. Now that Lu Yuhang is going with him, it can save a lot of trouble. Okay, see you at the airport. Lu Yuhang said. Jiangbei City is a large city in the central part of China. Its airport is very magnificent. Even at night, it is crowded and very noisy. Lu Yuhang, wearing a gray shirt and big dot-rimmed glasses, stood in the distance, beckoning. Brother Lin, here. Lin Fan glanced at his watch and said, It's almost time, let's go to board the plane. Vacheron Constantine Trudelisle. Brother Lin, I didn't expect you to get this watch. Lu Yuhang exclaimed excitedly. Lin Fan said. It's just a watch. It's not a big deal for you Lu's medicine, right? Lu Yuhang smiled bitterly and said. Our Lu's medical money is controlled by my dad, and he only gives me some pocket money every year. In order to buy Daniel, I spent almost a year on my food and frugal. If I want to buy your Vacheron Constantine Trudelisle, I have to spend another year on my food and frugality. It's okay to buy a big cow and save money for a year. Lu Yuhang sighed and said. It's better for your parents. I will buy you Daniel and Vacheron Constantine Trudelisle directly. After a pause, he said. By the way, Brother Lin, can it be convenient to tell me which line your family is in? Maybe our two can join hands in some business in the future. In Lu Yuhang's view, Lin Fan has a big cow, as well as Vacheron Constantine Trudelisle. There is no doubt about its strong financial resources. In addition, Lin Fan and Song Jiasen are very close, and the family power is by no means ordinary. If the relationship between Lu's medicine and Lin Fan's family can be brought closer, there is no doubt that it will be a great thing. Lin Fan realized Lu Yuhang's thoughts after a little thought, and said truthfully. My family just opened a small clothing store in Qingshe, I am afraid there is no way to engage in joint business with your family. Lu Yuhang naturally does not believe in any small clothing store. He only regarded Lin Fan as being humble. At this time, Lu Yuhang was already thinking about the large-scale clothing company in Qingshe in his heart, but he didn't have any clues for a while. Lu Yuhangdo. This is not necessarily true. Maybe we will cooperate on some project someday. Lin Fan smiled without explaining too much. The two of them walked and talked, went directly to the VIP waiting room of the airport, and boarded the first class in advance. The plane ran smoothly and successfully arrived in the capital in about 2 hours. The two walked out of the airport, and an atmospheric Mercedes-Benz S500 was already waiting not far away. The largest branch of Lu's medicine is located in Beijing, and this Mercedes-Benz S500 belongs to the company's car. Lin Fan is sitting in the quiet Mercedes-Benz S500, looking at the tall buildings in the distance, Yu reading www.yuyukeungshu.com, and the courtyard houses full of age, nodded slightly. Praised in his heart. It is indeed the domestic economic center and cultural center. At this time, Lu Yuhang put down his phone and smiled excitedly. Brother Lin, it's really time for us to come today. Tingfeng Bieyuan has a game today. It's still early, how about going to play together? Through this collection of Centennial Ganoderma lucidum and Centennial Ginseng, Lin Fan understood that sometimes it is necessary to make some friends appropriately. In addition, there is nothing to do at night anyway, so it's okay to have fun. So, Lin Fan nodded and said, okay. Don't worry, it will definitely satisfy you. Lu Yuhang smiled. Tingfeng Garden is a large-scale villa shaped like a palace near the third ring of the capital. At this time, Ferrari, Porsche, Bentley and other luxury cars were neatly lined up at the door. The lobby of Tingfeng Bieyuan is very spacious, filled with barbecue, top sashimi, foie gras and many other delicacies. Everyone dressed in brand-name clothes, and the beauties in bikinis, shuttled back and forth around the temperature-controlled swimming pool in the middle, laughing constantly. It was so lively. Lu Yuhang whispered. Brother Lin, do you have any fancy? No. Lin Fan shook his head. Lu Yuhang said. I missed so many. Brother Lin, your eyes are as high as mine. When he said this, he happened to see a beautiful woman in a patterned bikini with a bumpy figure. His eyes lit up and said, then take your time, I'll go first. After Lu Yuhang finished speaking, he straightened his clothes, picked up a glass of red wine, and strode towards the bikini beauty. P.S. Seeking 5-star praise. Welcome to read my book, Super Red Envelope Fairy Group. Chapter 44. It Hurts Us, Enter the Xinyue Hotel. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this time, a beautiful, exquisite beauty with long black hair and delicate features walked in slowly. She is wearing a white jumpsuit and hip skirt, which complements Ryu's skin and highlights her perfect figure, Oyo. In Lin Fan's impression, Manager Han's figure is similar to her. However, her appearance is better than Manager Han. Perhaps, only teacher Tian can compare with her. Lin Fan did not disable the real eye and started to observe. Face value. 97, favorite rating. 50, looks 97. It's just a bit inferior to the sweet teacher. Undoubtedly, this is a super beauty. Many gentlemen from the Feng Bieyuan garden quickly noticed her. They couldn't wait one after another, and walked towards the beautiful girl in the dress. Among them also includes Lu Yuhang, who just walked to the bikini beauty with red wine. Soon, the beauties in the dress were surrounded by groups. Seeing this, Lin Fan shook his head slightly. Although beautiful women are good, if you let yourself stick on like a dog, that is something you can't do. Lin Fan glanced around his eyes and fixed his gaze on the white piano not far away. Just standing, it's really boring. So, Lin Fan strolled over to the piano and sat down. He looked around and took a breath before placing his slender index finger on the black and white button. Suddenly, a brisk and tactful note jumped out of the fingers. The originally playful beauty gradually stopped communicating and looked sideways. In the swimming pool, the beautiful bikini woman swimming happily suddenly jumped out of the water, lying on the swimming ring, listening quietly. Even the beauties in the dresses in the distance began to look up. All their eyes are all where the piano is, all Lin Fan. As the piano music progressed, they seemed to see in their minds that they had grown wings and turned into a beautiful butterfly, flying freely, relaxed, comfortable, and extremely happy. In their eyes, Lin Fan is like a butterfly blooming with brilliant light in a sea of flowers, which is fascinating. They are all a little silly. After the end of the song, there was a warm applause immediately. It's so good to play. Awesome. The beauty in the dress stepped up with long tall legs and took the initiative to walk up. She smiled and said, "This is the first time I have heard someone play Dream of Love so nicely." Lin Fan didn't expect her to come. First he was taken aback for a while, and then said, "I'm overwhelmed. A drink." The beauty in the dress handed out a glass of red wine. Lin Fan didn't answer. He took the red wine directly, and touched the beautiful girl in the dress lightly. Then, he slowly poured it into his mouth. The throat is silky and sweet, but it does not lose the aroma of the wine. It makes people have a feeling of aftertaste. It is a good wine. Lin Fan commented. Sir, still knows about wine. The beautiful woman in the dress flashed her eyes. Although, Lin Fan's drinking actions are simple. However, he is skillful, continuous practice, like clouds and flowing water, and extremely free and easy. Plus appropriate comments, as if he is the owner of the wine, fascinating. Drinking gentleman, unlimited charm. Understand a little bit. Lin Fan said. It is rare to be polite and modest. With the deepening of the exchange, the beauty in the dress not only did not fully understand Lin Fan. On the contrary, it made her feel that Lin Fan was even more mysterious, and she couldn't help but want to get close to him and get to know him. Those beauties who had talked with the men around them in harmony before, no longer have the idea of talking with the men around them. They look at Lin Fan and the beauty in the dress from time to time in the distance. They are looking forward to the dress beauty suddenly leaving Lin Fan, then they may have a chance. However, their expectations were in vain. In the end, Lin Fan slowly walked towards the private room of Tingfeng Bieyuan with his arms around the slender waist of the beautiful lady in the dress. Neither Lin Fan nor the beauty in the dress slept this night, but the bed in the private room swayed all night. The next day, when Lin Fan opened his eyes, he was the only person in the whole private room. Lin Fan glanced at the missing white sheets and the stack of red bills on the table, blinked his eyes, and muttered, What? Lin Fan shook his head before getting dressed and getting up. Ding! At this time, Lin Fan's cell phone shook slightly. 2 text messages appeared on the screen. At 0.00, China Merchants Bank deposits 710,300 yuan. 10.10, China Merchants Bank deposits 65 million yuan. For the first message, Lin Fan did not have any surprises. Because, every morning when he gets up, he will receive about 700,000 yuan. But, what happened to the second message? 65 million yuan. Jingle bell. Just when Lin Fan was wondering, his mobile phone rang briskly. Lin Fan glanced at the call prompt. It turned out to be Wang Zhongde, the property manager of Qiankuan Building. After seeing his phone call, Lin Fan immediately had a guess about the 65 million remittance in his heart. Mr. Lin, hello, this is Xiao Wang from Qiankuan Building. Did you bother you to rest? Wang Zhongde said cautiously. If the bosses of the companies in Qiankuan Building knew that Wang Zhongde called himself Xiao Wang, and he was so careful, I don't know what his expression would be. Lin Fan said. No, I have been awake for a while. Is there anything wrong with you? Wang Zhongde hurriedly said. That's it. Yesterday, according to your request, I collected the rent of all companies in Qiankuan Building next year, totaling 65 million. Originally, I wanted to send the money to you yesterday, but there was a problem with the banking system, and it was not prompted until today, Mr. Lin, did you receive it? Lin Fan said. You did a good job, I have received it. Thank you Mr. Lin for your compliment, this is what I should do. Wang Zhongde said happily, if this is the case, then I won't interrupt Mr. Lin to rest. Goodbye. Even Lin Fan suddenly got 65 million, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise slightly. Today, Lin Fan carries funds have reached 81 million. At this time, Lu Yuhang had already been waiting downstairs in Tingfeng Garden. After he saw Lin Fan, he howled. Brother Lin, you heard us yesterday. You. Lin Fan was puzzled. Isn't it? Yesterday, all the beauties were attracted by you. Almost none of the others failed. Including me. Lu Yuhang exclaimed. When he said this, his eyes seemed a little red. Grievance, helpless. I finally met the Tingfeng Bieyuan Bureau, was it easy? Lin Fan did not expect this result, and coughed lightly. By the way, www.inread.com. When is the auction of Xinyue restaurant? Lu Yuhang glanced at the time and said, at 12:30, we have passed by now, and the time should be almost there. Lin Fan nodded and said, okay, then let's go over. Xinyue Hotel is located on the second ring road of Beijing. The entire exterior wall of the hotel is made of stacked marble, which looks extremely fashionable. The decoration inside the hotel is partial to the Chinese style, with carved jade columns, hanging lanterns, and wisps of sandalwood fragrance, which gives people a sense of tranquility and peace. After Lu Yuhang reported the name of Lu's medicine, he was assigned to a box on the third floor. The box is not big, but there are fine mahogany tables and chairs, and the luxury is still there. After Lu Yuhang and Lin Fan walked into the box, a well-proportioned waiter walked in with a smile. The waiter handed out a leather-wrapped menu and said, do you have anything you need? Lu Yuhang directly pushed the menu in front of Lin Fan, saying, the tea and food here are all very good, Brother Lin, see if you want to eat. Lin Fan looked around at random and said. A pot of longjing, jade belt shrimp, 4 seasoned greens, ants on the tree, qingfeng chicken soup, and another roast duck and colorful snacks. Don't look at Lin Fan, just order a pot of tea, 5 dishes and a snack. But, this is the Xinyue Hotel. Even the cheapest 4 seasoned greens cost 300 yuan per serving, while other dishes including longjing and dim sum, all cost more than 1,000 yuan. The consumption of this meal is already close to 20,000 yuan. Of course, this is just a small amount of money for Lin Fan and Lu Yuhang. P.S. Welcome to read my book, Super Red Envelope Fairy Group. Chapter 45. Wine Dispenser, Waste. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sitting in the box, overlooking the high lanterns in the lobby of the Xinyue Hotel, the exquisite carvings and the primitive decorations are unique. Lin Fan asked, are there any specific rules for the auction here? There are not many rules. After you have taken a fancy to the auction item, just raise the sign on the table and increase the price directly. Lu Yuhang said. After thinking for a while, Lu Yuhang continued. However, there is one thing. Before the auction, sufficient funds must be prepared. Otherwise, the consequences will be very serious. This is undoubtedly a rule for those who make random bids. Lin Fan nodded. The two chatted for a while, when Lu Yuhang suddenly felt sick in his stomach and left the box. At this time, the time just came to 12:00. The phone in Lin Fan's pocket shook slightly. The red envelope appears. Ding. Congratulations, get 10 yuan. Ding. Congratulations, you got 10,000 yuan. Ding. Congratulations, I got a bottle of Emperor Maotai. Ding. Congratulations, you got 3 yuan. Ding. Congratulations, you got 2,000 yuan. This time, Lin Fan received a total of more than 30,000 yuan and a bottle of Emperor Maotai. When Lin Fan raised his eyes, a bottle of Emperor Maotai, carved with an exquisite dragon-shaped pattern and resembling a jade seal, appeared in front of him. Also at this time, Lu Yuhang opened the door and returned to the box. He looked at the strangely shaped Han Emperor Maotai on the table and asked, Brother Lin, what is this? Wine, fine wine. Would you like to taste it? Lin Fan said. Good wine. Of course you have to taste it. Just look at the packaging, the taste is absolutely indispensable. Lu Yuhang licked his lips and exclaimed excitedly. Obviously, he is also a good drinker. Lin Fan picked up the bottle and poured it into the cup in front of him. Brother Lin, you're too slow like this, let's pour it into the bottle first. Lu Yuhang said. After a little hesitation, Lin Fan poured the wine into the dispenser first. Suddenly, a strong aroma of wine quickly filled the entire private room. Lu Yuhang said. Good wine. And this hop, it's so beautiful. While talking, Lu Yuhang couldn't help swallowing. Lin Fan looked at him excitedly and filled him a cup directly. Lu Yuhang was not polite, he drank it eagerly, and exclaimed. Good wine, good wine. Lin Fan also took a sip, closed his eyes slightly, and then nodded. Tap. At this time, an old man wearing a tang suit with grey hair and a tall beauty happened to pass by the box. The old man sniffed his nose, and a light, "huh," came from his mouth. After a short pause, he knocked on the box door sideways. Lu Yuhang, who was tasting the wine, asked, Are we still having food? It should be all together, Lin Fan said. Please come in. Lu Yuhang frowned. When he saw that it was an old man and a beautiful woman, a look of doubt appeared on Lin Fan's face. But Lu Yuhang was half-opened, completely stunned. Sorry, I interrupted your meal. The old man apologized. After hearing the old man's voice, Lu Yuhang slowly closed his mouth and said, No, don't bother, are you Zhou Lao? Oh. Do you know me? The old man said. Got the affirmative answer from the old man, and Lu Yuhang's face was immediately covered with respect. Hello Zhou, I'm Lu Yuhang, Lu Sifang's grandson. I followed my grandfather to meet you once at the Northern Chamber of Commerce. Lu Yuhang said. Zhou Lao recalled for a moment, and said, It turned out to be Lu Sifang's grandson. Your grandpa's medical skills are very good. He has also helped me with illnesses before. Next time I see your grandpa, please help me to say hello. Grandpa will be very happy to hear you. Lu Yuhang said sincerely. If we say that the Lu family is one of the top families in Jiangbei, then, the Zhou family is one of the top families in China. And the old Zhou in front of him, Zhou Guotao, is the backbone of the Zhou family. Its identity can be imagined, how noble it is. No wonder, Lu Yuhang would be so respectful. This is simply like a commoner meeting a superior nobleman. Actually, the reason I took the liberty to walk in was because I was attracted by the fragrance of wine. As Zhou Guotao spoke, a pair of muddy eyes fell directly on the Maotai of Emperor Han Dynasty, and the vicissitudes of old face revealed a touch of aftertaste. Color. Lu Yuhang opened his mouth, but failed to speak. If Emperor Maotai of the Han Dynasty is his own. Lu Yuhang absolutely said nothing, and immediately gave the whole bottle of wine to Zhou Guotao. Although the wine is delicious. However, it would be a great thing to be able to make Zhou Guotao good. The problem is that the Emperor Maotai belongs to Lin Fan, so he doesn't have much to say. Lin Fan said. Old people are also good drinkers. I have drunk it before, that kind of taste, now I still remember it. Zhou Guotao said. Lin Fan nodded and said, We have just eaten too. If the elderly don't dislike it, why not sit down and eat or drink together? Then I'm welcome. Zhou Guotao smiled. The beauty standing next to me reminded. Grandpa, your body. It's okay, just drink a little wine, it won't get in the way. Zhou Guotao said. After finished speaking, he sat down on his own. When Zhou Guotao saw the wine dispenser, he frowned and said, Drinking the Emperor Maotai worth more than 30 million yuan www.inread.com and even using the wine dispenser. It's a waste. Pattern. After Lu Yuhang heard Zhou Guotao's words, his hands couldn't help shaking, and his chopsticks fell directly to the ground. Stammered. Zhou, old Zhou, you. How much did you just say about the wine? Zhou Guotao said. Han Di Mutai was produced in 1992 with 10 bottles of Supreme wine. According to statistics, a total of 9 bottles of Han Di Mutai have been drunk. The last bottle was sold at auction for 32 million in the previous 2 years. In front of you, it should be the only remaining bottle of Emperor Moutai in the world. If it is put out for auction, the price will be at least 40 million yuan. If another person said something worth more than 40 million wine, Lu Yuhang would definitely bah his face, bragging and not writing drafts. However, the person who said this was the backbone of the Zhou family, Zhou Guotao. That is the truth. Guru. Lu Yuhang couldn't help swallowing hard, his face was full of shock. A bottle of wine is worth more than 40 million yuan. I just drank a glass of wine, how much is that? 500,000,100,000. How much is the liquor left on the dispenser? 30,000, 50,000. Even if Lu Yuhang is the eldest master of Lu's medicine, he does not dare to consume like this at all. Then, Lu Yuhang set his eyes on Lin Fan again. Originally, Lu Yuhang felt that he had gradually understood Lin Fan. Now, I am afraid I only know the tip of Lin Fan's iceberg. Took out a bottle of Emperor Moutai worth more than 40 million, Lin Fan. What exactly is his identity? P.S. Welcome to read my book, Super Red Envelope Fairy Group. Chapter 46. Grandpa Zhou, the auction begins. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Fan naturally didn't know what Lu Yuhang was thinking. He just helped Zhou Guotao pour a glass of wine and said, "Old man, please." Zhou Guotao was not polite, picked up the wine glass, first put it on the nose and smelled it. Then, he slowly poured it into his mouth. Suddenly, Zhou Guotao's old face was full of aftertaste and enjoyment. Yes, this is the taste, rich and mellow, delicate taste, endless aftertaste. Worthy of being the Emperor of Moutai. Zhou Guotao exclaimed sincerely. Lin Fan said. It seems that the old man really likes it. There are still some left in this bottle of Emperor Moutai. I will give it to you. Oh. Brother, are you willing to give me the wine? Zhou Guotao was surprised, this is the last bottle of Emperor Moutai in the world. Zhou Guotao just observed Lin Fan silently and found that his drinking actions were coherent and natural, and he also had a bottle of Emperor Moutai in his collection. Obviously, he is also a good drinker. The old man knows very well how painful it is to let a good drinker send out the Emperor Moutai. It is absolutely comparable to cutting meat. Lin Fan said. The Emperor Moutai is indeed mellow, plump, and long. It has perfected almost every aspect of the wine. But sometimes, perfection doesn't mean the best. Sometimes, a little short board makes the wine more layered. From this point of view, 5 stars and Feitian are more distinctive. The Emperor Moutai of the Han dynasty cannot be liked by me, so I should go to those who appreciate it. Zhou Guotao listened to Lin Fan's words, his old face full of wrinkles was colorful. It's really rare for a young man in his 20s to learn about wine like this. After a while, Zhou Guotao laughed and said. If this is the case, then I am disrespectful. Paused, then said. I haven't introduced myself yet. My name is Zhou Guotao. If the little brother doesn't dislike him, please call me Grandpa Zhou, how about? The beautiful woman standing next to Yen heard her face with an expression of surprise that could not be concealed. She rarely saw her grandfather introduce himself to a young man, and even asked him to call himself Grandpa Zhou. Although Emperor Moutai of Han Dynasty is expensive. However, Grandpa received a gift from Emperor Moutai that is far superior to the Han Dynasty. Has never seen Grandpa like this. Is there anything special about this young man? The beauty thought of this, she couldn't help but looked at Lin Fan again from top to bottom. Hello, Grandpa Zhou, my name is Lin Fan. Lin Fan said. Okay, ha. Zhou Guotao laughed. Jingle bell. At this time, there was a burst of lively music in the Xingyue restaurant. Zhou Guotao said. The auction is about to start, I will stay soon. Lin Fan, we will see you later. See you, Grandpa Zhou. Lin Fan said. Lu Yuhang also hurriedly said, Goodbye Zhou. After Zhou Guotao and the beauty left, Lu Yuhang envied him. Brother Lin, you can call him Grandpa Zhou directly. Lin Fan said flatly. He should be close to 80, right? Call Grandpa, what else is there? What's more? The Zhou family can become the top family in China because of Zhou Lao. If you let others know that you call him Grandpa Zhou, you will definitely lose your teeth. Lu Yuhang exclaimed excitedly. Lin Fan couldn't help but smiled and glanced at Lu Yuhang. Sour teeth. Is it like you? Then, Lu Yuhang poured some boiled water into the dispenser, and then drank the boiled water directly while holding the dispenser. Lin Fan wondered. What are you doing? This is the last bottle of Emperor Mao Tai in the world. It must not be wasted. Lu Yuhang said. Lin Fan. In another box. The beauty first poured a cup of tea for Zhou Guotao, and then she couldn't help but said. Grandpa, why are you so close to the man named Lin Fan? Zhou Guotao took a sip of tea, and returned to the taste. This sun is magnificent and profound. The future is limitless, once the wind and cloud change dragon. The pupils of the beautiful girl shrank slightly, and she rarely heard that her grandfather had such a high evaluation of a young man. She couldn't help but glanced at the box where Lin Fan was, as if she wanted to look at Lin Fan again. At this time, a gorgeous, graceful beauty in a red dress, led by 5 beautiful women holding lanterns, walked slowly to the middle of the lobby of the Xingyue Hotel. The gorgeous beauty smiled and said. Welcome everyone to the Xingyue Hotel. There are many treasures prepared for this auction. I hope everyone can buy what they like. In addition, 20% of the auction proceeds will be donated to charity in everyone's name. Then, today's auction will begin here. The voice of the gorgeous beauty is full of magnetism, and even if she talks for a while in the middle of the hall, it will not arouse any disgust from everyone. On the contrary, it also gives people the illusion of listening to a sweet song, which is very enjoyable. Soon, a jade bowl with a mellow appearance and beautiful patterns came up slowly. The gorgeous beauty introduced. The Qin chrysanthemum bowl of the Ming Dynasty official kiln. This bowl was once followed by the sanbao to the west. Regardless of the workmanship, carving, and material, it is the best choice of the Ming Dynasty. Even, it can be said to represent the pinnacle of Ming Dynasty porcelain art. The starting price is 300,000. As soon as the voice fell, someone immediately raised a placard. 500,000, 800,000. When the price changed to 2 million, the asking price obviously slowed down a lot. Finally, the Qin chrysanthemum bowl of the Ming Dynasty official kiln was sold for 2.3 million. Then, the gorgeous beauties held another auction for 2 pieces of porcelain, and a calligraphy and painting. Neither Lu Yuhang nor Lin Fan are interested in these, so there has been no bidding. The two of them ate snacks, drank tea, and chatted occasionally, which was relaxed and at ease. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.com. At this time, another auction item was brought up. The gorgeous beauty said. In medical books and legends, there are often magical introductions about century-old ginseng. Therefore, many people are tirelessly searching for the whereabouts of century-old ginseng. However, the real century-old ginseng is rarely found. Today, we have a real 100-year-old ginseng here with a starting price of 400,000 yuan. The voice fell, and an old ginseng plant was brought to the middle of the hall. Sitting in the box on the 3rd floor, the round-faced man with black eye circles said with a smile. Recently, I'm a little bit weak, I just have a century-old ginseng tonic. 500,000. The round-faced man raised the sign and said. At the same time as the voice of a man with a round face fell, Lin Fan also raised the price tag in his hand and said, 5 million. Directly increased the price 10 times. Lin Fan is determined to win the century-old ginseng. He doesn't want to bid slowly with people, that would be too troublesome. Originally, some people who still wanted to bid for the century-old ginseng, after hearing the offer, released the bid price. Envy. No one is a fool who is eligible to participate in the auction of Xinhue Hotel. They have also heard some legends about the century-old ginseng, but the legend is only a legend after all. The real medicinal effect of the century-old ginseng is actually very limited. I spent hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars to buy a 100-year-old ginseng, barely okay. If it costs 5 million, it is not worth it. Also, someone bids 5 million directly, which is obviously determined to win. Once bidding with him, he will be hated by the other party. Offending people at Xinhue Hotel is definitely not a wise thing. P.S. Welcome to read my book, Super Red Envelope Fairy Group. Chapter 47. LV5, Do You Need My Help? You are listening at novelfull.audio. All the bidders looked at the box where Lin Fan and Lu Yuhang were with a curious look. Lin Fan is naturally calm. But Lu Yuhang was completely stunned. Although, he also knew that Lin Fan had been looking for a century of ginseng. For this reason, he even rushed to the capital from Jiangbei. However, Lu Yuhang did not expect that Lin Fan would directly increase the price by 10 times and bid the price of 5 million yuan. After a while, Lu Yuhang gave a thumbs up and exclaimed. Brother Lin, awesome. And when Lu Yuhang gave a thumbs up, the round-faced man sitting in their toast box happened to look over. The round-faced man's face darkened slightly, and he snorted. So it's Lu Yuhang. What a good thing. Do you want to play? Labor and capital will play with you to the end. The words fell, and the round-faced man raised the bid price tag again. 5.2 million. The round-faced man had a grudge against Lu Yuhang very early. In his opinion, as soon as he bid 500,000, the opponent immediately called for 5 million, which is absolutely disgusting himself. Lu Yuhang was slightly taken aback when he heard that someone was asking for a price. The Lu family has been practicing medicine for generations, and he also has a certain understanding of various medicinal materials. Generally speaking, century-old ginseng is indeed very precious, but the price is only around 2 million. 5 million is definitely a high price. In addition, Lin Fan directly bid 5 million, which was obviously determined to win. In this case, most people hold the attitude of being innocent, and should also choose to give up. But, what is the situation now? Lu Yuhang looked at the box for the bidding with a trace of doubt. The next moment, Lu Yuhang's face was a little ugly, and he said, Wan Lang. Then, to Lin Fan, he said, Wan Lang and I have some contradictions. He must have deliberately increased the price. 100-year-old ginseng of about 2 million is enough. It is not worthwhile to continue to bid. Or, let's give up first. I will let more people pay attention to it. I believe it will not be long before new century-old ginseng will be discovered. Lin Fan said relaxedly, It's just money, it doesn't matter. The words fell, and he raised his placard again. 10 million. Wow. The audience is silent. Lu Yuhang was stunned again. Yes. He knew that Lin Fan's family was very strong. But, he did not expect that Lin Fan would bid a price of 10 million. That kind of feeling, it's as if Lin Fan's bid is not 10 million, but 1,000. It's such an understatement and doesn't care. In fact, Lin Fan really doesn't care much about money now. Lin Fan also believes that with the power of the Lu family, he will surely be able to find the century-old ginseng again. But, he didn't want to wait any longer. Because every time I waited, my father Lin Tao would endure another day of pain. Wan Lang, who was sitting in front of the bread compartment, heard Lin Fan's offer. His whole face was gloomy. For the first time, he bid 500,000, and he directly doubled 10 times and bid 5 million. Now, he is asking for 5.2 million, and he is asking for 10 million. Provocation, this is definitely Chi Guogua's provocation. Wan Lang squeezed the brand hard, but never continued to bid. Although, their family is financially rich. However, Wan Lang's pocket money a year is only tens of millions. It's okay for him to put out a few million at a time. If you spend tens of millions, it will be a little difficult. If you bid a high price of 10 million and the other party does not continue to bid, what should you do? Wan Lang stared at Lin Fan with a pair of cold eyes, and said sternly. Boy, you have a kind. The auction continues. The next objects are all antique calligraphy and painting, and Lin Fan has no interest in it. So, no more bids. When the last object was sold at a high price of 48 million yuan, the auction of Xinyue Hotel came to an end. Two tall beauties, holding a delicate wooden box, slowly walked into the box. One of the beauties smiled and said. Hello, sir, this is the century-old ginseng you bid for, please check. Lu Yuhang has seen a lot of precious medicinal materials, but he couldn't help but feel excited at this time and stepped forward and exclaimed. TSK, is this the 10 million century-old ginseng? Lin Fan picked up the century-old ginseng and focused his attention on the system. Ding! Do you charge century-old ginseng? Lin Fan saw this, his eyes lit up slightly. He understands that this is indeed a century-old ginseng. Lin Fan asked, where can I pay? He can't wait to take away the century-old ginseng now. Swipe the card here. Another beautiful woman said, holding the POS machine in both hands. Okay. Lin Fan nodded and handed out a bank card. Drip. With a soft noise, 10 million was successfully paid. At the same time, a reminder sound appeared in Lin Fan's mind. Ding. System upgrade, LV5. LV5 reward. LV4 reward. Get 20 yuan for every breath, get 20 yuan for every 1 second of sleep, get 20 yuan for every step you take. Rewards will be credited to the account at 24 o'clock every day. Upgrade consumption amount. 3.02 million/50 million, gift to others, gambling, etc. are not included. In addition, all items obtained from the system are prohibited from trading. Ding. LV5, open the mission system. The reward of LV5 is double that of LV4. In other words, now, Lin Fan can get at least 1.4 million funds every day. Then, Lin Fan turned his attention to the task system. Task system. When the host touches an item or event, a task is randomly triggered and a certain reward will be obtained. Two beauties put down the century-old ginseng, Yu reading www. Bokanshu.com put away the POS machine and leaned slightly and said, I wish you a happy stay at Xinyue Hotel. The words fell, and he walked slowly outside. Lu Yuhang said. Brother Lin, you seem to be very happy. I bought a century-old ginseng, of course I am happy. Lin Fan said. At this time, there was a dull sound of footsteps outside the corridor. Then, Wan Lang, with a round face, walked in with two men in plaid shirts. Lu Yuhang frowned and said, Wan Lang, what are you doing here? However, Wan Lang didn't seem to hear Lu Yuhang's questioning. With a pair of cold eyes, he stared at Lin Fan and said, Boy, you are crazy. Lin Fan thought for a moment and knew what the other party was referring to, and said lightly. If you don't have money, don't participate in the auction. Why do you have so much nonsense? Are you special? Wan Lang immediately caught fire, and the two men in plaid shirts behind him took a step forward, seeming to be trying to teach Lin Fan. It seems a bit noisy here. Brother Lin, do you need my help? Zhou Guotao's low voice came from the corridor. Lin Fan said. It's just a small matter, Grandpa Zhou, don't bother you. Well, if you have anything, please tell me at any time. After Zhou Guotao finished speaking, he walked straight ahead, but before leaving, he faintly glanced at the waves. It was this look that made Wan Lang tremble all over, and a layer of cold sweat broke out on his forehead. The pillar of the Zhou family, the pillar of the old man Zhou. He actually called the young man in front of him. Brother Lin. My God. What a terrible existence is he offending. P.S. New week, I wish you all happy and happy. Welcome to read my book, Super Red Envelope Fairy Group. Chapter 48. Apologies, Zhou's family collapsed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wanjia can be regarded as a good family power in the entire capital. But, in front of Zhou's family, it was just a bigger ant. If Zhou Guotao, the elder of the Zhou family, wanted to destroy the Wan family, he would just breathe out the power. And myself, I just offended the person Zhou Guotao called the little brother. This. The more Wan Lang thought about it, the more frightened his heart became. Finally, he bends down slightly, clasps his fists and said. This. Brother Lin, just had some misunderstandings. Yes. I'm sorry. The rich second generation like Wan Lang pays most attention to face. It is absolutely uncomfortable for him to bend over and apologize. But no matter how uncomfortable things are, I must do it. Because Wan Lang understands that if Lin Fan is not satisfied today, tomorrow, perhaps the entire Wanjia will usher in a terrible disaster. Lin Fan glanced at Wan Lang and said. Being a human, you still have to be calm. Otherwise, this time just an apology can be solved, and next time that's not necessarily the case. Yes. What Brother Lin said. Wan Lang nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. Lin Fan said. Besides, I just didn't mean to provoke you. It's just that I am really determined to get ginseng in the past century, and I am too lazy to keep bidding with others. If Lin Fan had said this before, Wan Lang would definitely spray him on his face. Too lazy to keep bidding, just add a few million increase in price. Do you think I'm stupid? But, at this time, Wan Lang did not dare to have such an idea. A person who had a good relationship with the Zhou family did not even bother to talk about this panic. He had to bend his waist a few points lower, and he did not stop nodding. After Wan Lang left, Lu Yuhang finally laughed. Brother Lin, do you know? I have never seen Wan Lang so. Only appearance. It's just like the grandson of a turtle. Cool. That's so cool. Lin Fan smiled and shook his head, and walked outside. The two got on the Mercedes-Benz S500. When they first drove to an elevator entrance, they happened to see an old man lying on the ground, clutching his chest. The beauty next to her face was full of surprise. Lin Fan looked intently, and it turned out to be Zhou Guotao and his granddaughter. Stop! Lin Fan shouted. Lu Yuhang slammed on the brakes, his entire face instantly changed color, and he rushed up with Lin Fan. Quickly, take my grandpa to the hospital, the beauty yelled. Lu Yuhang and Lin Fan didn't hesitate either, they lifted Zhou Guotao into the car quickly, and headed for the nearest hospital. On the way, the beautiful woman held Zhou Guotao's old hands tightly, tears falling like raindrops. Grandpa, you will be fine, BDNV at this time, she was like a frightened deer, no longer the former tranquility and calmness. Hurry up. Lu Yuhang also wants to drive faster, but there are too many cars in the capital, too congested, and it is impossible to speed up. Lin Fan said. Let me drive. Lu Yuhang immediately thought of Lin Fan's superb driving skills, and directly swapped seats with Lin Fan in the car. Lin Fan asked, "Is it okay to violate the rules?" "Of course, no problem," Lu Yuhang said. Boom. After getting Lu Yuhang's affirmative answer, Lin Fan directly stepped on the accelerator and drove quickly through narrow alleys, between two cars, etc. No matter what was in front of him, he always drove at top speed. In less than 10 minutes, the Mercedes-Benz S500 steadily stopped at the entrance of the association. When was in the car, the beauty made several phone calls. At this time, a large group of doctors and nurses waited at the door early. After seeing the Mercedes-Benz S500, they greeted him in a swarm, and hurriedly carried Zhou Guotao out on a stretcher. While doing some checks and treatments on Zhou Guotao, they walked quickly towards the ward. Outside the VIP ward, the tears of the beautiful woman have never stopped. On the one hand, she is worried about Grandpa's body. On the other hand, she and Grandpa went out alone this time, in case Grandpa. Then she really doesn't know how to deal with herself. At this time, there was a rush of footsteps in the distance. A large group of men and women in luxurious clothes came over quickly. Among them, the sword eyebrows and star eyes are quite majestic. Zhou Zhen, who is about 50 years old, looked directly at the beauty and said, "Zi Shan, what's going on?" Zhou Zhen, the contemporary owner of the Zhou family, and at the same time, Zhou Zishan's father. Zhou Zishan wiped the tears from his face and said truthfully, "After I went out with my grandpa today, I went directly to the auction of the Xinyue Hotel. As soon as I came to the parking lot, my grandpa suddenly fell ill." At this point, Zhou Zishan's tears rolled down again. Someone asked, "Xinyue Hotel. Does the old man have anything to eat?" Zhou Zishan said. "Grandpa drank a cup of pu'er tea, ate a piece of cake. And also had a glass of wine." "What? The old man's health is not good, why do you still let him drink?" "Nonsense!" Zhou Zhen shouted loudly. Next to, Zhou Shihong, who looked somewhat similar to Zhou Zhen, looked at the Emperor Maotai of the Han dynasty, who hung around Zhou Zishan's waist and looked like a dragon-shaped jade seal, and said, "This is what Grandpa drinks." "Yes." Zhou Zishan replied. Zhou Shihong said, "Brother, it's no wonder Zishan. The Emperor Maotai that the old man drank, even if it is us, I am afraid we can't stop him." Zhou Zhenyan heard, his expression slowed down. He knew very well how much he liked the Emperor Maotai. Then wondered. Is this wine bid from Xinyue Hotel? He gave it to Grandpa. Zhou Zishan pointed to Lin Fan not far away. In addition, he also sent Grandpa to the hospital in time. Everyone in the Zhou family looked towards where Lin Fan was. Lu Yuhang's heart was tense, and he quickly explained. "We were drinking in the private room at the time. Elder Zhou smelled the wine and came in on the initiative. Later on www.inread.com we saw Mr. Zhou lying on the ground in the parking lot, so Mr. Zhou was sent to the hospital. No wonder Lu Yuhang is so nervous. After all, the power of the Zhou family is too terrifying. In case, the Zhou family thought that they had deliberately murdered Zhou Guotao, that would definitely be a terrible thing." Zhou Zishan, who was next to, followed. What he said was right. Besides, Grandpa spoke highly of Lin Fan next to him. Oh. Zhou Zhen, Zhou Shihong and others all showed a touch of surprise on their faces. At the same time, he started to look at Lin Fan carefully. They know very well how high the old man's eyes are. Have a high opinion of a young man. This is really incredible. Zhou Zhen said. Thank you for bringing the old man to the hospital. Lu Yuhang heard this, he was relieved, and hurriedly said. You're welcome, you're welcome. This is what we should do. Crack. At this time, the door of the VIP ward opened. Several doctors walked out tiredly. Zhou Zhen asked. How is my dad? The bald doctor standing in the front opened his mouth and his face was full of embarrassment. If it's an ordinary patient, it's fine. But, the one lying inside, but Zhou Guotao, the old man of the Zhou family. One can't handle it well, let alone him, even the whole association cannot afford it. Zhou Zhen took a deep breath, and said, Doctor, you can speak frankly. The bald doctor cautiously said. We can only use instruments and medicine for the time being to keep the old man alive for several hours. Boom. Zhou's house, the sky is falling. Chapter 49. I can save, medical water. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Zhou family was completely developed by Zhou Guotao. Countless intricate relationships are all closely related to Zhou Guotao. If, compare the entire Zhou family to a towering building. Then, Zhou Guotao is the foundation of the building. There is a problem with the foundation, and the entire building may collapse. This is definitely something that Zhou's family can't bear. Everyone's heart is extremely heavy. Zhou Zishan's face was even paler. I went out with Grandpa, but Grandpa. Tears are falling like raindrops. The atmosphere of the entire corridor is extremely dull. Doctor, is there no other way? Zhou Zhen asked with difficulty. The bald doctor was silent for a moment, and said, for the time being, there is no better way. Zhou Zhen took a deep breath again and said. Okay, I see. After finished speaking, he was ready to walk towards the ward. He will accompany Zhou Guotao at the end. At this time, Lin Fan, who was standing behind and had not spoken, finally said, Perhaps, I can save Grandpa Zhou. As soon as he said this, Zhou Zhen stopped abruptly. Everyone in the Zhou family gathered their gazes on Lin Fan. And Lu Yuhang next to Lin Fan, his face instantly paled. Now, the doctor has said that Zhou Guotao cannot be treated. Lin Fan said he could save it. If it can really be saved, it will definitely be a great thing. But the question is it possible? Lin Fan is just a person of the same age as him. The Zhou family finally did not blame Zhou Guotao for falling ill. If there is a problem with the treatment, then the consequences will be terrible. After Lu Yuhang thought about it for a while, sweat beaded on his forehead. He opened his mouth, as if he wanted Lin Fan to take back what he had just said. But, being stared at by the Zhou family, he couldn't speak at all. Zhou Zhen turned around, walked slowly in front of Lin Fan, and asked, Can you save the old man? You can try, of course, I am not absolutely sure. Lin Fan said. He is going to collect 100-year-old ginseng, so he has the right to buy medical water. However, he is not sure whether the medical water can cure Zhou Guotao. Can only say give it a try. And the reason why Lin Fan decided to shoot. I came here because I thought Zhou Guotao was a good person when I drank. The second came, because when the auction ended, Zhou Guotao came forward to drink back Wan Lang, which can be regarded as helping himself a little. Then I will trouble you. Zhou Zhen said. Do you believe me? Lin Fan said. I believe in the eyes of the old man. Zhou Zhen said. Lin Fan nodded and said, When I was treating Grandpa Zhou, there should be no other people and monitoring equipment in the ward. Good. Zhou Zhen nodded. Someone couldn't help but said, the old man now has a few hours left. What if he doesn't even see us for the last time? Lin Fan said. Don't worry, I will be out within an hour. After finished speaking, he strode towards the VIP ward. Boom. With a soft noise from the ward door, the atmosphere in the corridor became dull again. Lin Fan looked at Zhou Guotao, who was lying on the hospital bed with catheters all over his body and fell into a coma, and sighed secretly. Then, Lin Fan took out the century-old ginseng in his pocket. Ding! Do you charge century-old ginseng? Yes. Suddenly, the ginseng lying in his hand disappeared. At the same time, next to the Ganoderma pattern in the medical water illustration book in my mind, there is an extra ginseng pattern. Ding! Obtain the permission to purchase medical water. Medical water. After oral administration, it can repair all the wounds of the human body, 10 million yuan each. Buy. In the next instant, a transparent solution of about 50 milliliters appeared in Lin Fan's hand. Lin Fan murmured. I hope it's useful. After finished speaking, he slowly poured medical water into Zhou Guotao's mouth. Then, watching Zhou Guotao's changes closely. Lin Fan is also full of curiosity and perplexity regarding the effects of medical water. Because, he is also going to let his father take one bottle. 1 minute. 3 minutes. 5 minutes. Originally, Zhou Guotao's electrocardiogram was only faintly beating up and down, and it quickly turned into a big wavy line. Immediately after, he described the withered, sallow old face, gradually showing a touch of ruddy. After about 30 minutes had passed, Zhou Guotao, who had been in a coma, finally opened his eyes. He glanced around blankly, then sat up slowly. Outside the corridor. As time went by, more and more Zhou family members came to the hospital. They are all like ants on a hot pot, pacing back and forth in the corridor, their faces full of anxiety. In fact, not only are they anxious, even Zhou Zhen, who has always been calm, is the same. Tap. At this time, a gray-haired old man, supported by the two, also came to the corridor. Zhou Zhen hurriedly greeted him and said, "Hello, my uncle. How is your dad now?" "I heard that a young man went in to rescue him," the old man asked. Zhou Zhen nodded and said, "Yes, the old man really likes him." The old man nodded, his muddy eyes stared at the ward closely, his eyes full of worry. Tap. In the corridor, there was another sound of footsteps. www.inread.com. Someone yelled. "The doctor of all nations is here. It's a universal medicine." Everyone in the Zhou family heard this, and there was a touch of excitement on their faces. Wan Guo doctor, whose real name is Wan Qinyun, is one of China's most famous genius doctors. "Wan Lao, please come here specially." Zhou Zhen stepped forward and said. Wan Qinyun said. "I have been good friends with Mr. Zhou for many years. He is very ill. How could I not come? Take me to see Mr. Zhou." Zhou Zhen hesitated and said, "Before, a friend went in to treat the old man. He didn't allow anyone to disturb him." Wan Qinyun wondered. "Friend? Who?" "I am not very familiar, but the old man is very fond of him. He has been in for more than half an hour, and he will be out within an hour." Zhou Zhen said. "Is that so?" Wan Qinyun groaned for a moment, and said, "Let me see the latest inspection of Mr. Zhou first." A doctor hurriedly handed out a large number of cases. The next moment, Wan Qinyun shrank his pupils and exclaimed. "What? The old man's body has reached this point. No. I must go in quickly." Zhou Zhen saw that Wan Qinyun reacted so violently, his heart was tense, and he no longer ignored Lin Fan's request not to be disturbed, and led Wan Qinyun towards the ward door in strides. Although, Lin Fan does have a good temperament. However, he was so young that Zhou Zhen did not dare to hand over the old man to him completely. "In case, so I missed the best treatment time for the father, it is really regrettable." Crack. At this time, the door of the ward suddenly opened on its own initiative. P.S. Welcome to read my book, Super Red Envelope Fairy Group. Chapter 50. Complete Restoration, Giving Away 500 Million Houses. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Fan slowly walked out of the ward. Zhou's family, Qi, set his eyes on him. Everyone is extremely nervous. They don't expect Lin Fan to be able to heal Elder Zhou. However, they were afraid of getting the bad news from Mr. Zhou. Zhou Zhen asked. How is the old man? While speaking, he was about to take Wan Qingyun towards the ward while making a gesture. He doesn't want to delay one more second now. Ahem. At this time, there was a soft cough in the ward. Then, an old face that everyone was so familiar with appeared in their field of vision. Everyone was surprised at first. Is followed by endless surprises. Old man, it's okay. Zhou Zhen said. Dad, why did you get out of bed? How is your health? While talking, he stepped forward and quickly helped. Zhou Guotao was full of anger, and said, I'm fine, thanks to Brother Lin for saving me. Although, Zhou Zhen and the Zhou family have already guessed the result. However, after hearing Zhou Guotao's words, everyone was still surprised. Lin Fan, this young man who seemed to be only in his 20s, actually saved the old man. Compared with the surprise of the Zhou family, Lu Yuhang was relieved. At this time, he realized that his clothes had been soaked in cold sweat. Afraid. He is really scared. If there was an accident in the hands of Lin Fan, the fruit would be too terrifying after that. So far so good. Zhou Zhen bent over and said solemnly. Brother Lin, thank you. Lin Fan assisted Zhou Zhen and said, Uncle Zhou, you are too polite. I'm just a small effort. What's more, Mr. Zhou also helped me before. Zhou Guotao smiled and said, what is my help? Lin Fan, you not only saved my life, but also saved our entire Zhou family. You can afford him a courtesy. Then, he turned sideways to Wan Qingyun next to him, old brother, I trouble you to come over from another place. Wan Qingyun waved his hand and said. Between us, what is troublesome and not troublesome, I will help you check your body again. Good. Zhou Guotao nodded. Wan Qingyun put his hand on Zhou Guotao's wrist first. After a while, Wan Qingyun withdrew his finger, with a look of doubt on his face. Zhou Zhen asked. Wan, how is my dad's situation? Wan Qingyun thought for a while and said, go for a blood test first and take a CT. Okay. Zhou Zhen said. Draw blood, take CT scans, and proceed with the green light all the way to the association. Only a few minutes, all the results appeared in Wan Qingyun's hands. After looking through it for a while, Wan Qingyun said affirmatively. Old brother, your body has completely recovered. Okay, Zhou Guotao was overjoyed. The whole Zhou family is full of joy. Zhoujiao. The dining table in the hall is filled with extremely rich dishes. At Zhou Guotao's repeated invitations, Lin Fan took the lead, and Zhou Guotao and Zhou Zhen sat on both sides. Zhou Guotao said. Unexpectedly, I accidentally smelled the fragrance of wine today, but it saved my life. Wine is indeed a good thing. Lin Fan, you come to taste how this wine tastes. While Zhou Guotao was talking, he personally poured a glass of wine for Lin Fan. Lin Fan put it next to his nose and sniffed, then slowly poured it into his mouth. The entrance is lubricated, the stomach is like fire, and the aftertaste is endless. The best flying Mao Tai. Lin Fan said. Yes, Zhou Guotao exclaimed happily. Zhou Zhen toasted. Lin Fan, thank you again for saving my dad. Then, Zhou Zishan, Zhou Shihong and others also toasted Lin Fan. Lin Fan never refused to come, and the whole banquet was very heartily eaten. After drinking and eating, Lin Fan looked at the beautiful scenery outside the window and exclaimed, it's really hard to imagine that there is such a beautiful house on the second ring road of the capital. Oh. Lin Fan, do you like this kind of house? Our Zhou family has a similar house beside the second ring road, so let's give it to you. Zhou Zhen said. Lin Fan was stunned for a moment, he didn't expect Zhou Zhen to say such a thing. To know. Zhou's house is said to be a house, rather than a manor. The overall area is more than 5,000 square meters. The housing price of the second ring road of Beijing is less than 100,000 yuan per square meter. In other words, the price of a similar house may exceed 500 million. Give it to yourself directly. Lin Fan said. This is too expensive, and I am in Jiangbei and I don't come to the capital often. Zhou Guotao said. Brother Lin, you are too polite. It's just a house. Compared with my fate, what is it? Although you don't come to the capital often for the time being, I believe you will come often in the future. It will be more convenient to have that house. Lin Fan thought, continuing to refuse, as if he seemed a little hypocritical. Then, he answered. Then I'm welcome. Originally, Zhou Guotao wanted to stay with Lin Fan for a longer period of time. However, Lin Fan said that there is still something to deal with, and that he has already bought a ticket back to Jiangbei. So, I directly rejected Zhou Guotao's kindness. And Zhou Zhen personally drove the Rolls-Royce and drove Lin Fan to the airport. Sitting in the VIP lounge, Lu Yuhang could no longer conceal the excitement in his heart, and the whole person jumped with excitement. Brother Lin Fan, no. Brother Fan, you are so awesome. You actually know how to heal, and you saved old man Zhou. My God, that's Mr. Zhou. Do you know, Yu reading www.yuukangshu.com almost scared me to pee when you said you were going to save Mr. Zhou. Brother Fan, tell me quickly, what else can you do? No. What else can't? Lu Yuhang said. Lin Fan looked at Lu Yuhang's dancing and shook his head with a smile. Lu Yuhang was self-conscious again, exclaiming excitedly. Hey, today I had dinner with Mr. Zhou and the others. If this matter is known by my dad, I am afraid I will drool with envy. His words are absolutely not exaggerated. Because even Lu Yuhang's father is not qualified to have dinner with Zhou Guotao. Then, Lu Yuhang said seriously. Brother Fan, thank you. Thank you. I really want to say thank you. Because Lu Yuhang has gotten into a relationship with Zhou's family through today's incident. This will be of great benefit to Lu Yuhang and even the entire Lu family. Lin Fan naturally understood what Lu Yuhang meant, and waved his hand. You're welcome. Zhou Jiao. Zhou Guotao stood in front of the window, looking at the gurgling water in the distance. His face was full of relaxation and enjoyment. At this time, Zhou Zhen walked in slowly with a stack of documents. Dad, this is some information about Lin Fan. Zhou Zhen said. Zhou Guotao flipped through it casually. The next moment, a vicissitudes of old face showed a touch of sorrow. It turns out that he is the leader of the dragon group. No wonder, he is so magical. After pondering for a moment, Zhou Guotao said. From now on, do everything possible to establish the best relationship with Lin Fan. Yes. Zhou Zhen said. P.S. Welcome to read my book, Super Red Envelope Fairy Group.